Welcome back to the end of session markups for London and New York. We'll walk through the 4H, 1H, 15 minutes and see if we had any entries for today or if you were able to catch any. So the daily time frame that you see on your screens here, break of structure on the daily and the price is continuing to push up. The last 2 days we had massive momentum, right? So we had on Wednesday and Thursday massive momentum, but today, not so much. It was just a lot of ranging market throughout the day. And then it's sort of, going to finish up as a doji candle or some indecision. Good indication that the momentum may be slowing down and ready for a rollover to a nice pullback next week. We'll just have to see. But at this point in time, nothing tells us that the price is indeed going to pull back. It could be a small little pause and then continue up. Let's look at 4H. Okay, so 4H also no significant pullback or anything that I deem a significant pullback. All of these for me a slight correction to the relative price action. If you see these, break of structure, pullback, break of structure, all of these are relative to the recent price action. I would call them pullbacks, but this for me is just correction and creeping up all the way. So this morning we came in about at this point in time. And when I came in, I saw this little structure broke, but nothing really indicating what needs to be done here. For me, it was still bullish market unless the order flow changes, and the order flow changes on the 4H at least when we have a chalk at this point in time. So when this structure breaks here, or actually no, not even that. Right here. So when this breaks all the way down to equilibrium, that's when we have a chalk for 4H. But at this point in time, if you look at the market right now, with all these candles already printed, the 4H chalk would be here. So like I said, the market might be getting ready for a rollover into a pullback. And it could be very well starting Monday for a couple of days where we'll see that little corrective pullback into some of the equilibrium or the discount range, discount part of this range. Okay, so let's go at 1H and see if we were able to break down any trades today. So when we came in this morning, the price was at this point here. This black candle, bearish candle here, and not much going on, right? So either we needed to see a chalk on the 1H, and we had that chalk after that, or this price, this demand would hold and go up. But either way, we will get an indication on the lower time frames what the price is doing here, right? So if we look at the 15 minutes, where the chalk happened. So this was where the chalk happened, right? The 1H chalk. Let me just pull that all the way out here. Nothing really happened. This price just blasted through it. Not much going on. Nothing really happened. So not interested. That thing is gone. Then we came into a demand zone. So on the 1H, it's just buy to sell wicks. Sell to buy wicks rather for the demand, and we had a good decent reaction into the 1H. So basically, after that 1H chalk, I had drawn my supply zone up here, right, this one, and I took this entire candle, the pivot candle over here, and was just waiting for the price to enter at this point in time here. So when we go in, what is it that we see here? So price came in, right? It had a little bit of reaction. It went all the way up. So at this point in time, for me, there was some inducement over here that was taken. This for me is a must to even consider entering. So what inducement did it take for all the people who were induced into selling? We are now taking them out, getting all the liquidity, and then with that help, with that fuel, move the price in the other direction. So for me, this was a good indication that there was some liquidity taken. And also what it did was it went up and swept this POI, right? So if it had closed above, or the next candle would have crept above, for me, this POI was done and we were in a bullish market. But the fact that it did not close above the POI, closed below, and the next candle, typically when you see a momentum candle like this, you would see some level of price continuing to move up. But in this case, it quickly turned back again. No reasonable close above the POI. So this one also, just opened up, wicked, and came back and closed below, telling me it's just a sweep. And once that sweep happened, what is it that I'm looking for? I am looking for the chalk. The chalk happened where? Right there. So that was my chalk. As such, and once the chalk happened, what do? I just put my entry. So you could take this entire area, so this entire range as your entry thing, or you could narrow it down to this candle here. I had narrowed it down to this candle when I took this trade, and placed it right at the distal of this while covering this higher, right? So it is not a bad stop loss. 10, 12 pip stop loss is perfectly fine for a medium, for a 15-minute time frame. And then the target was basically 2-3 hours to the next 1 hour demand zone, right? So what happened? Price nicely came in, tagged us in at this point in time, went down, and at this point in time here, this was my break even. So let me write that for you guys. This was my break even. So once I got into my break even, basically no money lost from my table, no, I'm completely risk free. And at that point in time, typically you would expect the price pull back and go all the way down, but in this case it came back and stopped us out at break even. All right, it happens. A good trade. Anticipation was that we were going to have a pullback. That is what we were playing. All the confluences were there. We had this pullback to this sweep zone, right? But this was nothing significant. So if I were to look on the 15-minute, yes, this was a supply zone. But on the 1 hour, my main analysis time frame, this was just sell to buy wicks. And yes, they're important. There is definitely orders over here, but to me, it's not as significant as you have, a pull, something like this. When you have a pull like that, a pushback, and then you have some sort of a supply created here like that, and then it goes. We have the reaction from this sort of supply here, and then it goes. Yes, then I would say, it is clean, solid price action over here. But the buy to sell wicks, and at this point in time, you have the reaction, and then it goes up. So for me, yes, there's definitely orders there. There's definitely an interaction between sellers and buyers. But on the time frame that I'm looking at, I don't pay much attention to this. I rather look at full-bodied candles, right? Okay, so this was a good trade idea. Unfortunately, it did not play out. It had a break even. But there was also one more thing that I wanted to highlight here. Let me just get rid of all of this. 1 second, guys. One more thing that I wanted to share with you. So what happened at this point in time, right? So we are coming down. We had a chalk. So our range is what? Our range is this right here, right? So from the high here, at this point in time, in fact, let me just quickly get this out. So we have our range from here and here, right? So when this range broke, right? So when this range broke over here, we essentially are getting a bullish chalk at this point, right? So we had a bearish chalk and then we had a bullish chalk. So when price, and this is the beauty of the markets, right? So when price came down after that chalk happened, there was something else that you could have seen. Give me 1 second. Let me get clean all of this here. Sorry, there. Okay, so what happened? We have some level of inducement also taken at this point in time, right? There. The next level of chalk we had was here, right? So this was, let's say, a 15-minute chalk. Okay, we had our last supply here, right? Which gave us this reaction, right? And then it broke the supply, right? So this is a valid supply because price came into this. We had a reaction. So if I look at it this way, price came up like that. Sorry. Let me get rid of that. So price came up like this. We had a reaction and then price went up, right? So that's what I'm trying to show here. So at this point in time, also the entry model is sort of ready. If you were to take this right here, and you could have placed your trade for a long at this point in time. After the chalk happened and it had a perfect, came in here, stop loss below that, and you could have targeted the highs here for a 2R or 3R, whatever have you, because the 1H has now chalked bullish, right? So again, it's reading the higher time frame narrative and going with the order flow. For me, when price had swept this, it is part of my entry model. We were anticipating a pullback. There were many confluences. Yes, okay, fine. We could be anticipating a pullback, right? And then the price never closed above that POI. If the price had closed above the POI, for sure, I would be done with shorts and I'll be looking at longs all day long. But in this case, for example, price swept it, came down, gave me an entry model, and I took it, and we were break even at this point in time, right here. But as we broke even, right? As we broke even, so let me, because I had this trade marked out, not this one right here. Yeah. So as it came up and broke even, you could have, because this was bullish, you could have seen this trade play out, right? So the original idea was shorts. We had an entry model here. Price came in, tagged us in, came in, went out, and stopped us out at a break even. All this time we had taken this liquidity over here. If you were to reverse your bias, we took the liquidity over here. The price has chalked bullish. There was an entry model ready for the longs, and you could have taken the longs. After this high goes, because this was the one that triggered in my entry, after this goes, and it did, we are essentially at a break even also at this point in time, and the anticipation will be to go up. You know what? I'm going to leave this trade here to see how it runs through today, and then Monday, if we hit the target, we'll set it up for a nice 3R and see what happens. Okay? All right, guys. So my last bit of advice on this one is, again, like I said before, where I was burnt by missing a very nice long trade, is never be attached to your bias. Always be in a position to react what the market is telling us and read between the lines. Here, both shorts and longs made sense. Both shorts and longs gave us a very good, clean entry model. But once you got break even on the short, how many people will quickly turn around and look for a long, not just randomly, but from a very solid narrative now that the 1H has chalked bullish. There was inducement taken on 15-minute. The last level of supply was taken out. There was a reaction, so it was a valid supply. We had a 15-minute chalk, and the price came into the pivot, and then it blew up, right? It cannot get cleaner than this. All right, guys, you all have a good one. Have fun, and we'll catch you up again for pre-London analysis, pre-London and New York analysis on Monday. Take care, guys. Bye-bye now.